And welcome to this bowling matchup between the Taylorville Tornadoes and the Unity Tolono Rockets. We have the boys on lanes 9 through 12 and the girls on lanes 5 and 6. It is senior night for the Taylorville Tornadoes. Up here showing the girls lane, Macy Johnson gets a strike on that one, finds the pocket in between 1 and 3. And she will start off her night with a strike. Still showing the girls' side. And just one pin left up there. 10 pin. Should be able to pick that up that spare fairly easily. Got up now for the Tornadoes, Lydia Hopkins. Trying to knock down 2 pins for the spare, does not get it. We'll leave that frame with an 8. Kylie Calloway, now bowling, picks up 3 pins, leaves the 10. And we'll move on to the next Taylorville player. Unity. We have Lene Neal up now. A little bit of a stutter, but some spin on it. Hits a good spot, but leaves the 10 pin up, just not strong enough to get that pin there on the far side, and she'll leave the 10 pin up. She'll try to pick that up. Meanwhile, Unity sends it into the gutter, and they will leave 1 pin up as well. And Neil is one of the seniors on the Tornadoes bowling team. And Unity will let Lene go first on this one. So she's aiming for that 1 lone 10 pin, swapping balls. Gonna go up in the gutter, so she'll just end up with a 9 on that frame. Just the first frame though, not too bad to get a 9. Unity picks up the back 3, 6, 9, and 10. Leaves 7 pins left to try and pick up for a spare. Not an easy spare to pick up, but still very possible. Gonna come over to the other side now. Looking at 3 of the boys' sides and 1 of the girls' sides. We got Zeddy Colebrook up for the Tornadoes girls. She has two pins to pick up. And she will pick up that spare, allowing her to hopefully capitalize on that on the next frame. And a good shot from the Unity to pick up a spare. We got Lydia Hopkins picking up a strike herself. Not necessarily quite in the right spot that you would normally want for a strike. Kind of went out on that one more head on. But any way you can get a strike is good. And Unity picking up another spare. Got a little lucky on some of those bounces there. Was able to pick that up. Unity, boys' side getting a strike. Taylorville player, not quite picking up the strike on that one, but that's okay. Unity again. Leaves 3 pins left up. Unity boys not able to pick up that spare. We got on the Taylorville girls side on the right, able to pick up a not so easy spare, 3 to 10. Always feels nice when you can pick up some of those more difficult ones. Unity boys leave up 10 pin. And Unity girls on the other side leaves up the 5 pin. Both are going to be looking for spares. We still have our eyes on the boys' side. Unity and Taylorville both sending down. Unity misses the spare. Taylorville leaves 3 pins up there on the right. 3, 6, and 10. Hopefully be able to hit that 3 pin and pick up the spare on that one. Here back on the other side we have Lene picking up a strike. Again, she's one of the seniors that's going to get recognized tonight. After missing the spare on the last one, it's nice to see her gain a strike. Unity girls on the other side, picks up 3 on the left side. Can't see it, but Unity boys on the other side, just picking up a spare there on lane 9. Coming right after a strike is always nice. We'll score 20 for that first frame with that. For those of you who don't know how strikes work, strikes add on your next 2 bowls, whether that be in 1 frame or 2 frames. If you get a strike on the next 2, your points get added up and applied to that first frame, and a spare takes in your next bowl on the following frame and adds that to your total score. So that's how you're able to get 300 games, 300-point games when only bowling a possible 13 frames. Gain all strikes nets you 300 points, the absolute highest you can get, and then goes down from there. Unity boys, on the other side we can't see, got a strike on lane 9. Brings his total up to 30. Here on the side we can see we got Macy Johnson. Good spin. Leaving 2 pins up. Gonna be 310 split. One of the easier splits to pick up, but of course we'd rather not have splits. Macy again, one of the seniors on the Tornadoes lineup. Let's see if she's able to pick it up. Only able to pick up 1 on that, so she'll end that frame with 9. We'll move on to the next terrible player. Unity's girls leave 2 pins up. We have Kylie Calloway up next for the girls. She got in almost the right spot, a little too far onto the 3-pin, a little too far into the right. Didn't quite break enough like she wanted. We'll leave up 1 pin, and she'll try again to get a spare. Unable to get it last time. Ended up with a 0 on her second shot. Hopefully she'll be able to pick up her spare. She'll try for it. And unable to get it, so she'll leave that one with the donut as well. Unity gonna try and pick up a spare. A little too far to the left, not able to get it. A little frustrated with herself. Still looking over here on the 2 girls' lanes there on the left-hand side of the alley. Starting off with the gutter for Taylorville and Unity. He's gonna knock down 4. Leave up 6, knock down pins 2, 4, 6, and 7. Leaving kind of an awkward situation with the 10 pin just kind of out there. Not going to be the easiest to pick up. You're going to need to bowl a little more straight on as opposed to the natural curve and break that bowlers try to go for. You see that's what she's going to try, and just able to pick up that 10 pin. A little too far to the right, and she'll end that frame with a score of 5, bringing her total up to 15 so far. We have Lene Neal coming back up. She's been bowling well so far. 9 and then a strike. And she'll pick up another strike for a double. Let's go ahead and try to take a replay of that one. You'll see with most bowlers, they put a little bit of spin on it. And as it reaches the end, the oil runs out. It's right in between that 1 and 3. and is able to knock those pins into it for the strike. Those of you who also don't know quite how the oil on a lane works, the oil works from inwards out, front to back. The most amount of oil is going to be towards the front, the least amount with little to none as you reach what are called the braking lines, those 4 lines there in the back. See Macy Johnson leave the 10 pin up again. But the oil on the lanes are there to help the ball spin until the very end. Then when you get towards the end with little to no oil, your ball will break and you're able to hit for a right-handed bowler in between the 1 and 3 pin is where you want to be, and for a left-handed bowler in between the 1 and 2 pin. That's also why you'll see bowlers wipe off their balls. They're trying to get rid of all that oil, take out as many variables as possible. Macy Johnson misses that 10 pin. And by taking out as many variables as possible, they're of course able to be as consistent as possible. Now we got Emma Iyer up for Taylorville. She'll put a little bit of spin on it, and she'll leave the 10 pin. Coming on just a little bit too head on to pick up that strike. Ends up leaving the 10 pin. For a spare, that is more difficult than it looks, especially for right-handed bowlers who are typically trying to put spin on it to break towards the center. It can sometimes be very difficult just to throw it straight for a spare. But she will be able to pick it up, and she will get her first spare of the night. Apologize, it's actually her third spare of the night. Her resources were lying to me. We got Kylie up, another one of the seniors for the Tornadoes. She hits in the perfect spot. We'll take a replay of that one, show you exactly what we mean. Go ahead and try to take a replay of this one. So you'll see she puts just a little bit of break on it, hits right in between that 1 and 3 pin, sends the pin to just the perfect way to pick up a strike. And that is Kylie's first strike of the night as well. On that same side, Unity, with their first bowl of that frame, will respond with a strike of their own, trying to keep the match a little close. So now we'll join the other side a little bit. We got the 2 boys teams and one of the Taylorville girls teams. Taylorville on lane 12 right now, Unity on 11, and the girls on lane 10 and 9, I believe. I apologize. Some Taylorville boys on 9 and 10 as well as Unity. Head Lene with another strike, looks like. So we'll have Macy Johnson come up, looks like next. She had a split her last time up, so she'll hopefully avoid that as much as possible. showing Lydia Hopkins there on the right. We got Emma Iyer right now, up for the Tornadoes. Lydia Hopkins again. And Kylie Calloway on the far side, leaving up the 9 pin. After her strike last time, she'll want to try her best to pick up the spare, capitalize on it as much as possible. So in her previous one, she's left two spares up, but she'll be able to get this one. Picks up the spare, gives that strike an extra 10 points, bringing her total up to 47 so far. Sticking here on the left-hand side. Nails will pick up a strike. Unity on the girls' side will leave 2 in the middle, 1 and 5. Another spare that looks easier to pick up than it is. Throw the ball too light and it's going to bounce off the pin and not be accurate. But throw it too hard and you may be just a little bit inaccurate and not hit any of them. So you got to find the right balance to pick it up. Looks good. And I apologize, looked like there was a 5 pin behind there, but no, just the 1 pin. So that one is a little bit easier, able to pick up the Lone Ranger there in front. And Neil will try to pick up a spare after her turkey of strikes. She'll end up missing on that, bringing her score up to 90, the most on that lane so far. And looks to be tied for the most of any of the girls. She's having a good night so far. Zeddy Colebrook there on the right-hand side, and she'll pick up a strike. We got Lydia Hopkins on the right-hand side with a fresh frame. And not the best result for her. She will leave up 5, 4, and 7 are the pins. Ruled as a split. She's going to want to try to aim for in between that 4 and 5 pin there up front. Knock back, hit the 7 pin, but not an easy spare to pick up. Let's see if she's able to do it. Put some good spin on it. Just able to hit the pin on the right. Leaves 2 standing. And over on the other side, Emma leaves up the corner post, 7-10 split, most difficult split to convert on. Sorry, not 7-10 split. That pin's more so up in front. That is the 6 pin. So she will actually have a slightly easier shot, but she'll just end up taking the 1. And we'll get ruled with 9 on that frame. Got Kylie Calloway up now. She had a spare her last time up. See if she's able to capitalize on it. And she is with a strike. Let's get a replay of that one. So you'll see that typical spin, put on the bowling ball, hits right in between 1 and 3. Again, sends the pins just the right way, capitalizing on the spare as much as possible, giving her the most amount of points. For that, bringing her total up to 67 for this game. Now Unity on that same side trying to pick up a spare, and they are going to be able to. And Alyssa just leave up 1 pin, almost able to get a spare on that one. And we'll bring back up Lene Neal, who has been having a great night so far. 3 strikes in a row for a turkey. Left 3 standing on the last one. Hopefully she'll be able to recover from that. She put some break on it, doesn't look like a lot, but it is enough. And it'll slowly topple down for her 4th strike of the night. We'll have to wait to see what that total becomes when she capitalizes on her next 2 bowls. But I imagine she'll end up being the leader for the goal, for the girls bowling side. We'll be here on the boys' side. Unity trying to pick up a spare. We'll leave 1 standing. Just settle for a 9 over there. Unity leaves a 7 pin standing on the girls' side there on the left. Lydia Hopkins on the right, leaving 1 pin up, leaving the 10 pin for her. And she'll try to pick up her 3rd spare of the night. Coming back to the girls' side on the left, we have Macy Johnson. Looks like a good amount of spin, and she'll pick up a strike as well. Up next for the Tornadoes, we have Emma, who's been having a really great night. 4 spares, 1 strike, only 1 frame, where she's left a single pin standing on a split. And she'll gain her 2nd strike of the night. She's got 105 so far without that strike. We'll have to wait to see what her score ends up with it. Next up will be Kylie Calloway, who has not left a pin standing in her past 3 frames. Had a strike on the last one, Spare before it, and a strike before that. Good amount of rotations, perfect location, and that's what's going to give you strikes. She has a double for her. Got Dylan Nash shown there on the right-hand side. He just picked up his spare. Unity on the left-hand side. Going for a spare, just a little too far to the left, and they'll leave a pin standing. There's girls team on the right, picks up a spare. And on the left, unable to see who it was, but they leave a pin standing. Unity's girls team with a fresh frame. Hits it right in the middle, but still able to pick up the spare. Or strike, apologies. Still not exactly where you want the position to be, but a strike is a strike. And she will take that. Renee Neal leaves up 2 pins, luckily on the same side though. Should be a simple spare to pick up there. Renee has had a strike in her 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th frame. The most of any on her side. Renee will go up first on that side, trying to pick up the spare. It's a little bit of counter spin on it. Able to hit that front pin, but a little too far to the left. Leaves 1 pin standing. Joining in on the right side, we have Zeddy Colebrook. She has a split of her own, got 3 pins standing. And she'll throw it into the gutter, leave those 3 pins standing, bringing her total up to 120. She's had 3 strikes on the night. And is currently leading the Tornadoes. Next closest is Lene Neal with 118. On the 8th frame, all around. Looking at Lydia Hopkins right now, trying to pick up a spare. And she will, knocks down 3 pins to get another spare for her. Unity boys just picked up a spare. Brings his total up to 127. The same amount as the next Unity player coming up. He's had nothing but strikes and spares, never left a pin standing. See if we'll still be able to do it. Leaves 3 pins standing on the side that we are currently viewing. The left-hand side. Looks like Callie Calloway scores a strike. Another good location for her to pick that one up. Isaac Nash on the far side leaves 1 pin standing. And Isaac will be able to pick that up. Hey Neil, back up on your screens. See if she'll be able to keep up her incredible night as the anchor. And she's able to pick up another strike, bringing her to 5 so far for the night. Doing a great job as the anchor of her side. Very impressive so far. Jackson Frost for the boys. He was able to pick up a strike of his own, left-handed bowler. Left-handed bowlers are not quite as common. We have Noah Baker for the boys, not a senior, but a very skilled bowler nonetheless, bowling on lane 12. Leaves 2 pins standing. He's been having a good night. Only 1 frame where he's left pin standing. He's got 4 strikes and 3 spares so far. Looking to add another one. Here on the left-hand side, we got Unity. Leaving a few pins up. Unity on the left-hand side will pick up 1 pin in the back. We've got Emma coming up. Had a pretty good night so far. Not quite the best bowl. Leaves up 4 pins. 1, 2, 8, and 9. Gonna want to try and hit this one head on and take them all out with 1 go. She's currently leading that side with 133 points, but that is not including Lene's most recent strike, as she still has to make 2 bowls to calculate the points for that. Emma able to pick up 2 more, and leave 2 standing, paving the way for Kylie Calloway, who has had 3 strikes in a row so far. She'll be trying to add on her 4th. On the other side, we had Alyssa Becker, another senior, joining in on Kylie Calloway. She'll leave a pin standing, and will hopefully be able to pick that up in her foundation frame. Leave herself going well heading into the 10th frame. We will stick with her. A little bit of spin, and able to pick it up. Good foundation frame for her, not leaving any pins standing. Should help her go better into her final frame. Over on the right-hand side, we've already got players in their final frame. Girls team on the left, still on their 9th foundation frame. Jackson Frost up now. Got a packed crowd here in the Old Bowl right now. Every available space for spectators is full. Even some people from Unity making the travel down here to support their team. We have Lene up now, using her purple and blue bowling ball. Trying to add on another strike. One of the more important frames, leaves 4 standing. And after this bowl, we'll be able to see how she stands in relation to the rest of the girls. We'll add on to her strike that she previously got. She's got 5 so far in this game. And she is able to pick it up. See if we can take another look at that. Got Lydia Hopkins on the right side. There's one of the Taylorville seniors. Got another strike for Macy. She's had 4 in a row so far. Getting up to the point where they stopped giving them names. We've got a strike, a double, and a turkey. If you get up to 3, once you get past 4, we stopped giving you names. You're too good. So here we'll get the bonus frame in the 10th frame. Good lead so far for the Tornado. She's got 153 points, not including the extra point she gets for her last 2 strikes, and that one right there. 5 in a row. Brings her total up to 183. Macy so far has had 8 strikes so far on that game, trying to add on a 9th and leave a perfect 10th frame. It's not easy to get 1 strike, but to get 5 in a row is very impressive. Will she be able to get it? No, she won't. Left 2 up. Still a very, very impressive score of 211. Leaving just 89 points left on the table. And it looks like she'll be the one leading the Tornadoes. Unity's first player finished with a 102. Our second player up has gotten a strike and has left a 5-10 split, attempting to go for the spare and overcome her teammate, though she will regard this. And she'll pick up 1 for a final score of 119. For the Tornadoes, Emma sends it into the gutter, leaves 3 standing. We'll end with a total of 148. Kylie's had a little bit of a rough start, leaving a pin standing on her first 3, but every single one after that has left 0 pins standing, 4 strikes, 2 spares, and she'll tack on another strike and gain the bonus frame. Got Kylie Calloway up now. Trying to go for another strike, and she's able to get it. Trying to overpass Macy so far, who's first for the girls. She has 166 so far. not including the extra point she gets from her other 2 strikes. And she'll throw it just a bit too far to the right, pick up 6, and end her off with the final score of 192. Boys' side is finishing up. Already had one of the Unity teams finish. And the last people for the Tornadoes are going. So we have completely finished up on the right-hand side. Just a few more players left here for the left. And Unity with a spare. They will try to pick up their bonus frame. Let's see if they're able to do so. Unity's highest score so far leaves 8, ends up with the final score of 132, the highest of the Unity. Lene has been having a fairly good night so far. Score of 138. Will pick up a strike and earn her bonus frame. Got 158 now. Added on to the spare she got last frame. Last Unity player up right now. She currently has a score of 69. Picks up 3. Bringing her total up to 72. Picked up the 3 on the right. Lene trying to capitalize on the final frame as much as possible. And she'll leave 1 pin standing with an opportunity to knock that down. She'll try to pick up a spare to end off her night. Unity player ends the night off with a score of 72. Lene coming a little close to the line, but does not step over, ends up throwing it into the gutter, and will end with a total of 177 for that first game. So it's the Terrible Girls winning that first game. The right-hand side looks as though the Terrible Boys were able to hold it out and win their side as well. I believe during this time we're going to be partaking in our senior night festivities. So I'll step aside for a little bit and let them complete that, and I'll join you when the first game starts. We still got a few more games finishing up on the left-hand side, far left-hand side, JV and freshman games. So I will step aside until the next game. Don't go anywhere.
was talking about for the first game. Let's talk about
Alright, as the JV finish up here, I want to thank everybody again for coming out tonight and supporting all of our seniors. If you guys want to give them a quick round of applause. Seniors, all of you, please go ahead and head up to the approach. And then we actually have a special thing for Lance before we get everything started. Thank you, Gary. I'd like to apologize to Tolono, the boys and the girls and the parents for this. I know it's kind of slow and like that. I apologize for that. But nine girls and 2 boys. Really special group. I got a little thing that I wanted to show them real quick because I asked one of my very best friends to show you guys a little video. So she's gonna give you a little presentation. So if you guys want to look at the TV screen up here by the counter, everyone, and I have a message from a young girl from Lithuania. Oh my God!
So, I heard that today is your senior Wednesday, and can I just say, oh my God, you're seniors. So, please enjoy it while you can, because this is the best time of your life. Enjoy bowling, enjoy every second spent with your team and your friends, because these memories will last forever. If sometimes you get upset by your scores, just try to make it as fun as possible, because as I said in my letter, you will not remember the scores, you will remember the people that you were with. I wish I could be there with you guys and celebrate it, but I can't, so please celebrate it for me as well, and can't wait to see y'all.
Thank you, Nancy. I've watched that about 10 times and I've cried every time. So I'm going to pass this over to Gary, and congratulations, seniors. All right, so we'll make it real quick. These are our seniors up here. We have Lene, Peyton, Lily, Lydia, Emma, Alyssa, Zeddy, Kylie, Macy, I don't know, and then Dyson. I'm just kidding, that's Jackson. You guys can stay up there. We've got a couple special gifts from all of us that we would like you to have.
Guys, it was supposed to be fast, Gary said. One step after the other. Come on.
Welcome back to the second of 3 games here in this bowling match between the Taylorville Tornadoes and the Unity Tolono Rockets. We got both boys and girls games going on. We got Jackson Frost here on the right-hand side, or the boys' side, as I've been calling it, even though there is a girls' team on the right-hand side. We got Macy Johnson, another one of the seniors, on the left-hand side. And a strike to start off the second game. Got Zeddy Colberg on the right-hand side. Another one of the extensive list of seniors for the Tornadoes. Kylie Calloway picking up a strike of her own. Get Liliana up. A little too far to the left, crosses over, leaves 3 up. Not too bad, should be the more fairly simple spares to pick up. Not that any spare pickup is necessarily easy. That's one of the easier ones. We have Isaac Nash on the boys' side. Picking up, knocking down 8. Leaving 2 up for potential spare. Over back on the girls' side, we got Unity picking up a 1 of 4. With Lene Neal up for Taylorville. Got a lot of girls get a strike on their first one. Lene will not join that club. She'll leave 3 standing. But again, one of the easier spares to pick up. 3, 6, 10 is the spare she's trying to pick up. We'll stay using the same ball. So Lene, instead of a strike, we'll try to pick up a spare. And we'll instead just pick up that front, even her off with 8. We'll circle back around to the best girls bowler so far of the night, Macy Johnson, who started this game off with a strike. Over on the other side, we had a boys tornado bowler pick up a spare, paving the way for Noah Baker to hopefully pick up a spare of his own. Or maybe even better, a strike. Leaves 2 pins standing. 6 and 10, and he'll try to pick up a spare. Joining back in on the girls' side, Macy Johnson knocked down 5, left 5 up, trying to pick up a spare. She'll leave one standing. So she'll try to leave it for Emma to pick up a second consecutive spare for this game. And she'll do just that, picking up her second spare so far, giving her a double. We have Kylie now, who also received a strike in her last frame. She'll try to stay on the path that Emma was and try to pick up a second strike of her own. And she too will do just that. 2 consecutive strikes from 2 consecutive players. Showing Liliana Edwards, who had a spare in her last frame, leaving 3 standing, just like she had before, I believe. So down a little bit, we got Unity girls side using what looks like Belmo ball, ball produced by one of the best professional bowlers, Jason Belmonte. Renee picks up her strike. Yes, Jason Belmonte, one of the most successful bowlers of all time, produces his own bowling balls and are very popular brand as well. Can't say for certain that it is, but just what it looks like. So Lene picks up her first strike of the night, or not of the night, of the game, in her second frame. Unity there on the left with a little bit of a lob. And misses just a little bit to the left, leaves 2 pins standing. And the other Unity player leaving the 7-10 split. Most common and most difficult, one of the most common and most difficult splits of the game. She'll end up just sending it right through the uprights, not getting her 3 points, instead giving her a 0. And leaving the way for Macy Johnson to have her first bowl of the third on the third frame. And she'll end up with a strike, giving her 2 so far for this game. Hopefully encouraging. I believe Emma is up next to get a turkey for herself. She's been perfect so far this game. We'll see if she'll be able to keep it up. Looks good, and it is good. She's got a turkey so far. And perfect game so far. Hopefully, next player on that side, Kylie Calloway, will be able to pick that up as well. On the boys' side, we had Noah Baker, knocked down 6, leaving pins 2, 4, 5, and 7. If you know what those pins are. Kylie going for her turkey, and she'll be able to pick it up as well. Emma and Kylie both have turkeys so far. Both are riding on perfect games as well for this second of 3 games against the Unity Tolono Rockets. Showing senior Liliana Edwards. Knocked down 7 in the last frame. Will end up getting a gutter ball on this one for her first one. And she'll try to turn this around. Try to salvage as many points as possible. And we'll check back in over on the boys' side. We got Brady Corbin. He's had 2 consecutive spares in his last 2 frames on his first bowl. And he'll knock down 7. End up with a split. Won't be easy to keep his spare streak alive. And over on the girls' side, Liliana Edwards knocks down all 10 frames for a spare. Shame she wasn't able to do that on her first bowl, but we'll take the points wherever we can get them. So now Lene will try to follow up her strike. It's a little too far to the left. Leaves up those front 2 pins. And she'll have an opportunity for spare. Showing senior Peyton Hill. We were unable to get to her. We were doing senior night festivities, but able to show her now. Let's see what she's able to produce. Not quite enough break. Leaves a split for her, knocking down 7. Three seniors we were unable to cover was Liliana Edwards, Peyton Hill, and Lene Neal. All of which are exceptional bowlers. We'll take a replay of that. She's able to pick up that spare on the split. So the idea with this spare is to hit that front one just on the far left side, to knock it over, and pick up that 10 pin. Very impressive bowl. Very nice split. A highlight of the night for sure. So we'll join back in on the left side. Macy Johnson trying to pick up another strike. She's getting in the right mental state. She steps up. Good amount of spin, it looks like. Good amount of rotations. And does pick up that strike. Getting in that perfect spot in between the first and third pin. Able to pick up the strike there. Now we've got Jackson Frost, another senior for the Tornadoes. He'll knock down 7, leaving 3 up on the left-hand side. Emma unable to keep her streak of strikes alive, leaving 1 pin up. We'll try to get a spare to keep her streak of leaving no pins standing alive. Obviously unfortunate when you start off the game with a bunch of strikes. I'm going to try to get that perfect game, but even at the professional levels, very rarely is it seen. Very difficult to achieve. She'll end up just settling for a spare. But with that being said, Kylie Calloway still has the hopes of a perfect game alive. She's bowled strikes in her first 3 frames and will try to keep it alive in the 4th. And that she will. Not quite at the right angle, but once again, if you can get a strike, doesn't really matter the angle. So we've got Zeddy Colebrook. right-hand side. She'll end up missing her opportunity for a spare, leaving 3 pins standing. We got Liliana Edwards. Again, one of the seniors we unfortunately missed during the senior night festivities, but we're picking her up now. She leaves 2 pins standing for a split. Number 3 and number 10. Another one of those easier splits to pick up. Hit the 3 pin at the right angle there in the front, and it's got a high probability of hitting the 10 pin there in the back. So we'll stay with her as she tries to pick up her 3rd spare of the game. And she'll just end up settling for that front 3 pin, leaving 1 pin standing for a final pin count of 9. Got Peyton Hill up now, leaving the 5 pin standing in the middle, knocking down all the bodyguards around it. And she will have 1 pin to try and knock down the spare. Meanwhile, we're joining Lene Neal with her first bowl of this frame. Knocks down 9 and leaves the 4 pin standing. Isaac Nash, another one of the seniors, is who we're joining. Knocked down 7, leaves a split. He's knocked down every pin so far, so maybe he'll be able to pick that one up. Joining back into Lene on the left-hand side. Just barely misses it, just about a half an inch off from picking up the spare there. But over on the other side, we had another tornado pick up a spare. We have Macy Johnson, who has had 3 strikes of the 4 frames so far, only being interrupted in the second. She gets in the right mental state and just able to avoid the split. Appears relieved about that, and we'll have to try and pick up the spare. Meanwhile, we had a Unity player pick up a double, 2 strikes in a row on their 5th frame. So they're going to be trying to put up a good fight against these tornadoes, not trying to leave themselves out of it yet. With that being said, one terrible player who's going to try to make that the least likely situation. Emma, not quite able to pick up the strike. Leaves 1 pin spinning there in the middle, and she'll try to pick up another spare. Still has left no pin standing. And she'll just miss that. First pin she's left standing all night. Another Unity player picking up their 2nd strike in a row for a double. And hopefully we'll see one on this side with Kylie Calloway. She will not be able to end her streak of strikes with a split. And Zeddy Colbrook just up there picking up 2 pins for 9. We get everyone on their 5th frame on all sides of the alley. You have Kylie picking up 2 pins leaving her first one standing so far, leaving it for Liliana Edwards. We've got Lydia Hopkins up. Backside. She picks up her spare. Joined back on the left-hand side with Liliana Edwards, who's trying to pick up a spare of her own, with 3 pins left standing. And she's able to pick that up for her 3rd spare of the game. We got Peyton Hill up right now. And she'll miss, just leaving 3 pins standing, a total of 7. Lene only able to knock down 1 pin on the far end. A little bit slower for this game, but so far Emma and Kylie have been able to pick it up. Having a very good game so far. And Lene actually able to pick up the rest for the spare. Doing very well. Following Unity player, getting a turkey, 3rd strike in a row. Again, not quite wanting to go down quite as easily. Macy Johnson knocks down 9 pins, leaves the 10 pin standing for an attempt for spare. Jackson Frost up, knocks down 8, leaves 2 standing. He's been having a good night so far. Jackson's going to try to knock down the remaining 2 pins. Get a lucky bounce from the gutter, knock down 1, and leave 1 standing. Joining Zeddy Colebrook, 1st bowl of the frame. Knocks down 6. Leaves 4 in the front standing. Yet to get a strike so far this game, but does have a few spares to her name. So Zeddy will have to settle for 1 pin, giving her 7 pins knocked down for that frame. And we'll leave it to Lydia Hopkins to see what she can do. So Lydia with her first of the frame. Leaves 5 standing. Not going to be easy to convert a spare on that one. But of course, nothing is impossible. Meanwhile, Unity player, boys player, with his second strike in a row for a double. Both the boys teams are playing fairly close so far. Highlights for Unity, player with 304. Currently in the lead for a single individual over the boys' side. Next closest will be, looks like Noah Baker with 259, but still has a large gap to close in on him. As for the girls' side, our highest score so far is Kylie Calloway by a singular point, ahead of Macy Johnson by 1, who's got 306. We've got Alyssa Becker up on the right-hand side with her first bowl of the frame. She'll have 2 she'll have to knock down if she wants to pick up the rest of that frame. She'll end up just missing those final 2. And so for a score of 8, we've got Isaac Nash here on the far side as well. Almost picking up a strike. One sneaks by him though. And the best he'll have to settle for is a spare. So Jackson will be able to pick up that spare. Still everyone in the alley on their 6th frame. Over on the left-hand side, we've got Macy Johnson trying to knock down one pin. We will be following Zeddy Colebrook. Who just avoids the split on her first bowl of the 6th frame. And is going to try to pick up another spare. We've got Emma on her 7th frame. Leaves 3 standing. Current leaders, first for the girls' side, we have Macy Johnson with a score of 325 between the 2 games. Followed next up by Kylie with a score of 307, though she could quickly close the gap with a strike in the previous frame. In terms of the Unity side, closest girls player is who they've got up first on their lane, has a score of 222. Joining Lydia Hopkins here. Unable to pick up the 1 pin needed for her spare. In the meanwhile, on the boys' side, We got a Unity player with 5 strikes, 1 spare, currently leading the boys with 304. Next closest is 2 Unity players with a score of 265. Actually, there's 1 Unity player with a score of 268 who's actually ahead of them. Current leader for the boys bowling team for the Tornadoes is Noah Baker with 267, and followed up by Brian with a score of 248 so far. So we're joining Liliana Edwards, who picks up 8 pins. Had a handful of spares this game. We'll try to get her 4th here in the 7th. Stick with Liliana. She tries to pick up her spare, and she is able to. Giving her 4th spare of the game. We'll leave it for Lene, who had a strike in her previous frame. She'll try to capitalize on it. Instead of capitalizing on her strike, she will end up with a 6-4-7 split. 4-6-7 split. That's how you're supposed to say that. So she'll talk to her coach a little bit. Try to get a game plan on how to approach this split. Try to pick up, of course, the most pins as possible. But if anything else, try to pick up those 2 pins there on the left. See what she's able to do. A little too far to the left. And it'll end up in the gutter, leaving all 3 standing. AC Johnson up next for the girls on the left-hand side, who was only left 1 pin standing. Has an equal set of 3 spares and 3 strikes. Meanwhile, the Unity's leading girls player knocks down 8. We'll leave 2 on the left-hand side for an attempt for spare. So Macy will end up with that middle pin standing. And we'll try to add on to her consecutive spares. She had 3 consecutive spares so far. Try to add on her 4th. On the other side for the girls, we have Zeddy Colbrick up, who does the exact same thing and leaves that 5 pin in the middle standing. And she too will try to pick up a spare. Macy was unable to. We'll see if Zeddy is able to. Meanwhile, we've got Emma up next on the left-hand side after Macy. And Zeddy was able to pick up that spare, leaving it for Lydia Hopkins, who has also had a handful of spares herself. And Emma ends up with her 4th strike of the game. Her first one since her turkey in those first 3 frames of the game. Kylie Calloway, the current leader for the girls, when combining the 2 games, and without a doubt, the hands-down leader during this game. 5 strikes so far, very impressive. Not quite the greatest bowl, leaves 4 standing up in front. Allows Macy Johnson to take the lead on that side. Over for the boys, we got Brady Corbin up. with Isaac Nash on deck. Kylie was able to pick up that spare. We'll have to wait to the next frame to see if she can close the gap on her teammate Macy. Meanwhile, Unity's top girls bowler is still sitting at 222, waiting for some more consecutive frames to add on to her strikes and spares. In the meantime, Brady leaves one pin standing. And try to pick up his 5th spare of the game. As you watch the girls on the left side with Liliana trying to pick up a spare. And try to pick up the 7 pin on the far left side for her 5th spare of the game. She ends up going just a little too far to the right. Leaves that pin standing, gives her 97 so far for this game. On the boys' side, we have Isaac Nash knocking down 8, leaving the first front 2 standing. Took it a little too far to the left. We've got Lene. Had a very good first game, slowing down a little bit on the second game, leaving 2 pins standing. Unity still holding the lead fairly strong for the boys. Still have their leader of 355, followed by 292, just starting his 9th frame on that same lane. Then 2 players with 284. And then Taylorville's Noah Baker is tied for that 5th spot with a Unity player for 275. Lene picks up her spare. And Macy Johnson leading both the Lady Tornadoes and the whole girls bowling event so far will be up next for that left-hand side. So we're on the foundation frame for a lot of lanes. Foundation frame just means the 9th frame. A lot of times seen as an important one to set up for the most important 10th frame. If you do well on your foundation frame, you got a good chance of doing well on your 10th frame and picking up that bonus. That makes such a difference in some of these games. Unity boys still keeping up the pressure. Just had one of their players get a turkey. Meanwhile, Taylorville's leader, Noah Baker, is trying to pick up 2 pins for a strike, or for a spare, excuse me. Macy Johnson picks up a spare. Currently watching Emma Iyer, who leaves 2 pins there on the far side. Emma is able to pick up that spare, bringing her total to 304 between the 2 games. Leaving it back to Kylie Calloway, who has been absolutely exceptional over this game. 5 strikes, 1 spare, 2 frames of 9. She'll attempt to take the lead away from Macy Johnson. Instead, we'll leave 2 pins standing. makes her tied with Macy, though Macy does have that spare that she'll need to add on to. Over on the boys' side, Brady just picked up 7 pins to end his 9th frame. And Kylie does pick up that spare. So now Macy and Kylie are tied between the 2 games so far. Will all come down to this 10th frame to see who goes into the final game with the lead. Despite being teammates, it can sometimes get very competitive, especially on an event that's as important as senior night. So over the whole alley, we have Unity Tolono's player on lane 11 with 373 between the 2 games. Next closest is currently tied between Macy Johnson and Kylie Calloway with a 353, I believe. Double check to make sure that they are in fact the next 2, which indeed they are. So they're sitting at the top of the girls' side and a tied 2nd on the whole alley. Even though they're not necessarily competing against each other, it's nice to know how they compare as compared to the boys. Lene will try to capitalize on her spare in the 8th frame and try to set up a good foundation in her foundation frame. Going into the 10th. And she won't quite pick up the spare. Made contact but does not knock down that 10th pin. And will instead have to settle for a spare. Let's see if she'll be able to pick it up. There's the attempt, and she does in fact pick up that spare. Having her total at 285 between the two games. Macy Johnson got four spares and 3 strikes so far in this game. We'll try to capitalize, and she does with a strike, giving her the bonus frame and putting a little bit of pressure on Kylie to try and catch up. Got Macy Johnson up right now. She just had her strike, and that's who we're going to be following on our stream. He gets prepared, sends it down the lane, and picks up a 2nd strike. Macy will try to have a perfect 10th frame. Meanwhile, we have Lydia Hopkins on the other side, picking up a spare in her 10th frame to give her the bonus bowl. We're following Maisie, but I'll keep you updated on to how Lydia does. And she knocks down 8 pins on her final of the 10th frame. Macy Johnson gets in the right headset, steps up, and the approach. Looks good. Not quite good enough though. Knocks down 7, leaving her at an even 400 between the 2 games. leaving Kylie Calloway a little bit of room if she feels like she wants to take the lead. Macy's currently in the lead over the whole alley, though we still have some players who have not taken their 10th frame yet. In the meanwhile, Emma gets a strike and will earn her bonus. Gives her 5 strikes on the game. Over for the Unity boys, we had one of the players get 5 strikes in a row. And then an additional 7 on that final bowl. Emma picks up another strike on her side. And will try to go for her own perfect 10th frame. Meanwhile, for the Taylorville boys, Brian has taken the lead for the boys with 316. Noah behind him with 291. And Emma will leave 3 pins standing, following with Macy, strike, 7. None of them able to get the perfect 10th frame yet. We'll see if Kylie will be able to. She's got 5 strikes and 2 spares so far for the night, and is in contention for the lead on the girls' side. She'll end up with her first strike of that 10th frame. Earns her bonus and will make her attempt at a perfect 10th frame. Over on the boys' side, we had our high Unity boys player miss out on his bonus in the 10th frame, leaving him at a score of 399. So even though they're not competing, Macy will take the lead in the alley with a score of 400. Kylie will end up with a 6, leaving 4 pins standing. So she'll end up in 2nd place after this on the girls' end. And I believe, again, even though they're not competing, 3rd overall in the alley so far. Closest Unity girls player is currently sitting at 266 between the 2 games. Kylie picks up a good spare. All sides are finishing up their 10th frame. Some already have. As a matter of fact, some have already started their 3rd game. So Liliana picks up 8 for her first. Will try to get a spare and earn her bonus. Miles is finishing up as the last of the Tornadoes on the boys' end. Had a turkey right before it and adds on a 4th to start off the 10th frame and earn his bonus. As Liliana on the opposite end of the alley is going to try for spare. And she'll be able to pick that up and earn her bonus. Over on the right-hand side, lanes 9 and 10 have started up their 3rd game. We got Zeddy Colebrook knocking down 7. Liliana knocks down 7 herself. Leaves 3 pins standing in the 10th frame. And leave it up to 4th overall so far on the girls' side, Lene Neal. Boys in lanes 11 and 12, Unity and Taylorville have just finished up their last game. Not last game, second game. Last frame of their second game. As Lene Neal gets a strike and earns her bonus for the 10th frame. She's the last one to have a 10th frame. Last side to still be in their second game of the games that we are covering. Over on the right-hand side, we had Lydia Hopkins with nine pins down for her first. Looks like she was able to pick up her spare. Lene picks up another strike. Brings her total up to 305 between the two games. Lene throws it into the gutter. Not able to capitalize on her bonus, and that's how they will end the 10th frame. So everyone will head into game 3 of 3 for senior night. Current standings, the Taylorville Lady Tornadoes bowling team are still in the lead. Current top 3 are Macy Johnson, Kylie Calloway, and Emma. For the boys' side, we have the Unity players with 399, 362, and 340. All on lane 11, currently leading the boys' side. Unity is also currently leading against the Tornadoes. Not allowing it to be easy for the Tornadoes to come back on this one. They're still going to try their best to close the gap as much as possible. As for the Tornadoes, we have Miles in the lead with 344, Brian with 325, and Noah with 291, just ahead of Jackson Frost, who has 290. Macy starts off, knocking down 9 pins with her first bowl, and leaving one standing on her second to finish off that first frame. In the meantime, Emma will pick up her strike. She'll start off the game 3 like she started off game 2. Let's see if Kylie will be able to do the same. Over on the right-hand side, we have Betty Colbrick. Knocked down 7 to start her second frame. She'll try to pick up a spare. Unable to, though. Leaves pin 3 standing, able to pick up 6 and 10. There on the right-hand side. We'll follow Kylie Calloway to see if she's able to start game 3 the same way she started game 2. And she does just that, gets a strike. Emma and Kylie start off game 3 like they do game 2. And they'll leave their pursuits for a perfect game alive. Meanwhile, the Unity girls pick up 1 pin of a split. Peyton over for the girls. Picked up a strike on her first frame and picks up 5 on her second. Liliana up for the girls. Picked up 8 on her first. We'll try to pick up the remaining 2 in the straight line. Unity girls just picked up a strike. They're on their final player right now. And Neil up right now. She picks up 7 and will leave herself with a 6-7-10 split. Very complicated spare for Lene to try and pick up, though we've seen complicated splits picked up before. And she'll just settle for 2 and leave 1 pin standing. On the other side of the lane, we got Jackson Frost up for the Tornadoes. He's getting in his right mindset. In the meanwhile, Macy picks up 9 pins, and Jackson Frost also picks up 9 pins. And we'll follow Jackson Frost for you guys as he tries to pick up his spare. Curves it around and is able to pick up that spare. One-handed lefty bowler, Jackson. We got Zeddy Colbrick up now. She picks up 7. We got 3 pins left standing, all in a line. Macy, nope, she'll stick with the same bowling ball. And she'll try to send it straight down the lane and try to pick up her spare. Meanwhile, on the other side, Emma just picked up a spare. Zeddy only able to pick up those front 2. We'll leave it to Lydia Hopkins. Had a spare in the first frame, strike in the second, yet to leave a pin standing in game 3. Current point leaders on the boys' side. Unity player has taken the lead again, 4-19, playing the anchor on lane 11. Next closest is Macy Johnson. Score of 409 and leads the girls' side. Kylie Calloway, currently at 393, but has not finished her second frame yet, and has a strike in that first frame that has yet to be calculated. Has a lot of potential to move up the rankings very quickly, but currently sits at second for the girls. As for second place for the boys, we have a Unity player on lane 9. Current score of 391. And Kylie will take the lead away from Macy for the girls. With that spare, brings her up to 413. As for the teams, Taylor still leads the girls and Unity still leads the boys. Be following Jackson Frost now. Apologize, Alyssa Becker. Next person up, as she'll start off her third frame. Had a strike in the first, 9 in just her second. Let's see what she's able to produce. She ends up getting a strike, giving her second of that game. she leads the girls of her lane. And that also puts her into 5th place for the girls. Jackson Frost just got his first strike of the game. Meanwhile, on the other end of the alley, Lene Neal is back with the mirror of the spare. She'll actually end up with the exact same split that she just had in her first frame. Wasn't able to pick it up there. We'll see if she'll be able to adjust and pick it up this time. Once hit just right of that 6 pin, ricocheted over to the 7. A little too far to the left, and she'll end up with a line on the board and just end up with 7. In the meantime, Teddy Colebrook, talking to her coaches, ended up in the gutter on her first bowl. She'll try to compose herself, clear her thoughts, shake off that first gutter ball, and she'll try to capitalize this time. And she does, knocking down 7 pins. Able to bounce back a little bit. And she'll leave the way for Lydia Hopkins. Lydia's trying for a turkey on this one. Had a strike in the 2nd and 3rd. Will she be able to pick up one in the 4th? And she is able to pick up her first turkey of the night. On the opposite end of the alley, Macy Johnson knocked down 8 on her first bowl on the 3rd frame, leaving the 6 and 10 pin there on the right-hand side of the lane to try and pick up her spare. Meanwhile, Peyton mirrors that with the 4 and 7 pin there on the left. And Isaac for the boys just picked up his first strike of the game there on the far side. He currently sits at 284 between the 3 games. Macy Johnson picks up the 2nd spare of that game. And now Emma, who is yet to leave a pin standing, will approach her 3rd frame. And Emma picks up a strike, still yet to leave a pin standing. And following suit, yet to leave a pin standing, is Kylie. Had a strike in her first frame as well, and a spare in her 2nd. Perfectly mirroring Emma so far. Let's see if she'll be able to do that still with a strike. That's exactly what she does. Puts it right between the gap of the 1st and 3rd pin, and ends up with a perfect strike. Jackson Frost, who ended up with a strike on his 4th frame, will try to go for it again on the 5th. Jackson does end up getting that strike. Took a little bit of time, but he can take as much time as he needs if he's going to produce results like that. That's a double so far for Jackson Frost. Meanwhile, on the other side, Liliana's trying to pick up a spare. Knocked down 9 on her first attempt. And will end up in the gutter and leave one standing. Eddie Colebrook on the opposite side of the alley. Knocks down 9. Leaves the 5-pin there, dead center. And she's going to try to pick up her first spare of the game. Meanwhile, Lene ends up with another 7-pin split, this time of the 2, 4, and 10-pin. Not quite like what she's seen. And Zeddy is not able to pick up that spare. Lydia Hopkins, who has had a great third game. 9 points in that first frame. Strikes from thereafter. In the 5th frame, she's going to try to go for her 4th. And unable to. She'll end up just picking up 9, leaving 1 pin standing. She'll have to settle for a spare at best. Current points update. We still have Unity Boys player as the anchor on lane 11 with 444. Next closest is Kylie Calloway with 433, followed by Macy Johnson with 427. And currently sitting in 2nd place for the boys is the Unity player right before the anchor on lane 11, currently sitting at 410. So we've got other Unity players at 408, 409, and 407, very closely behind him. Needless to say, the Unity boys are leading the boys' side, and the Taylorville Lady Tornadoes are leading the girls' side. Macy Johnson trying to pick up a split. Just a little too far to the left, very close. There's 1 pin standing right there in the middle. For the Tornado boys, we have Miles currently in the lead with 382, followed by Noah at 346, and closely behind is Brian at 343. Miles picks up another 5 pins to give himself 9 for the 4th frame. Emma Hughes leaves the 5 pin standing there, dead center. Is he gonna try to pick up the spare? Looks good, and is good. She picks up her 2nd spare of the game, leaving her at an even 2 spares, 2 strikes. No pin has gotten past her yet in this game 3, and no pin has gotten past Kylie Calloway, who so far has been mimicking Emma with a strike in the 1st and 3rd, and a spare in the 2nd, and she'll leave 1 pin standing, and we'll see if she's able to copy her again with a spare in the 4th. Currently on the 6th frame for Zeddy Colebrook. She is yet to hit a strike or spare so far this game. She knocks down 7 and leaves a straight line for a spare. Meanwhile on the boys' side, Noah Baker knocks down 6, leaves the 1, 2, 3, and 5 pin for those of you who want to try to follow along at home. He's had 3 strikes so far this game. And he picks up the front 3, leaving the 5 pin standing for a total of 9 for that frame. On the other side of the alley, Liliana knocks down 9 pins, leaves the 3 pin standing. Lydia Hopkins on her 6th frame is going to try to get back to her strikes. Had a little bit of a hiccup in the 5th frame, and is able to get her strike there just now on the 6th frame. So she's going to try to go for another turkey. Had one in frames 2, 3, and 4. Little hiccup on 5, and starting frame 6, 7, and 8 for her potential turkey off hot, with a strike in the 6th. Lene, who has yet to knock down all the pins yet so far this game, has had nothing but splits coming up to this frame. Hopefully, if nothing less, she'll be able to end up with pins a little bit closer together, maybe for a little bit more of a possibility of picking up a spare. Let's see what she's able to do. She leaves one pin standing there on the right. Avoids the split. Let's see if she's able to pick up a spare. Meanwhile, Dizek, after a donut in the 4th frame with 2 gutter balls, picks up 4 pins to start his 5th frame. He's had 1 strike so far in the 3rd and a spare in the 2nd. Lene picks up her spare. First time she's been able to knock down all the pins so far this game. Lacey Johnson currently leads the girls by 1 point ahead of Kylie Calloway. Lady Tornadoes still have a very firm grip of the girls' side, and the Unity boys still have a fairly firm grasp on the boys' end of the alley. We've got 3 lanes on their 6th frame, and 3 lanes on their 5th frame. A little bit more spacing between the lanes of these varsity matches. We got a Unity girls player. One you see now is currently in the lead with 319. Had a strike in her 1st frame and a spare in her 3rd. Tries to go for her 2nd here, and is able to pick that up for her 2nd frame of the game. Meanwhile, Emma is up. We'll be following her a little bit as she leaves 1 pin standing. Jackson Frost on the other side of the alley, able to pick up a spare. Knocks down 2 pins for that. And Emma tries to pick up a spare herself. Just a little too far to the left, and we'll just end up with 9. And as I've been talking about, Kylie has been perfectly mimicking Emma's scorecard so far. Strike, spare. Maybe not quite in the same way that Emma has, but still has received the same results. Let's see if she's able to do it again here. She leaves the same pin standing that Emma did. Ends up with 9. Let's see if she'll succeed where Emma did not in picking up the spare. Lydia Hopkins up now on the other side, not able to continue her turkey run. Ends up leaving 1 pin up, and she'll just have to try and settle for a spare. Kylie is able to pick up the spare, finally breaking the mirroring between her and Emma. And we'll leave Liliana up. Still yet to knock down all the pins in one of her frames so far this game. Hopefully she'll be able to do it here. She leaves 4 pins standing. 4 pins standing there for Liliana. On the other side, we have Peyton for the Lady Tornadoes. currently has had 2 spares in a row. Well, that doesn't have any fancy name like the strikes do. Still very impressive, and we'll hope she'll be able to pick up a third or maybe even better and go 1 up and get a strike. And she is able to get that strike. Able to go 1 up from the spares she has been getting, ends up with that strike. Her first of the game. And Liliana able to pick up a very impressive spare. Let's see if we can take a replay of Liliana's spare. See, she ends up getting a lucky bounce on this spare. Hits that front pin, knocks off the wall, and hits that one there. So now we're following Lene Neal, who just knocked down 9 pins. Leaves the 6th pin up on the left. And we'll see if she's able to pick up her first spare of the game. In the meantime, Dysik for the Tornadoes leaves up 4 pins up front. Lene trying to pick up a spare just a little too far to the left. She'll have to wait on her first spare of the game. On the other end of the alley, Dysik knocks down 2 for a total of 8 for that frame. He's currently sitting at 318 between the 3 games. Jackson Frost for the Tornadoes, currently sitting at 414 between the 3 games. Just trying to go for spare by knocking down 2. Does not end up with it. Leaves the 2 standing. We'll have to wait for another spare. Meanwhile, Zeddy Colebrook, who just received her first strike of the game, is up. And Macy Johnson on the other side, close to a strike. Ends up with 1 pin standing. Doesn't quite get the bounce she needed. Looks like it came in close to the right angle, but the pin just slid to the right of the 10 pin. Got a very unlucky bounce there. And she's just going to have to settle for a spare, which she is going to be able to pick up for her 4th spare of the game. Zeddy Colebrook on the other girl's side of the alley needs 1 pin for the spare. It will instead end up in the gutter, unable to pick up that spare. Emma Hughes knocks down 9. Ends up with a pin on the other side of the alley. She's currently sitting at 439 between the 2 games. Current leader is Macy Johnson at 473 for the girls, but that is going to be short-lived when Kylie Calloway comes up to start her 6th frame, as she's currently sitting at 472 without it between the 3 games. She is your current leader for the girls, assuming she can knock down at least 2 pins here. She does 1 better than 2 with a strike. And she takes a firm control of the girls' side. Currently sitting at 492 without the added bonus that comes with a strike. In the meantime, Unity's closest player sits at 342 as the leader on currently on lane 5. The lane to the left of the Tornadoes that we've been watching. Current Unity player up right now is sitting at 267, trying to pick up a spare and unable to do it. Didn't get quite the bounce she needed, and she'll have to leave with a pin standing. Meanwhile, for the Taylorville boys bowling team, We have Brian sitting at 398. Close behind is Noah at 394. However, I missed that Miles is actually in the lead for the boys, sitting at 407. And overall for the boys, our Unity anchor on lane 11 is the first to reach 500 points for this game. Has had 4 consecutive strikes, 5 for that game. Sits at 504 between the 3 games. Under 100 points away from having 2 consecutive perfect games. Has easily led the alley in terms of strikes and currently leads by a margin of 12 points in the alley. 12 points ahead of Kylie Calloway in terms of the people who he's actually going to be competing against tonight. Closest is a fellow teammate on lane 9. He has a points total of 479. Meanwhile, Lene picks up her first spare of the game. He currently sits at 366. And Isaac on the opposite side of the alley. Despite having a gutter ball on his first bowl, ends up knocking down all 10 for a spare. See Lene controlling one of our cameras. Unfortunately, she does not exactly realize that camera is currently frozen. But we'll let Lene have her fun. In the meantime, we'll be following Macy Johnson, who's had 2 consecutive spares. No strikes so far for this game. Unusual for her. Let's see if she'll be able to pick it up now. And she is able to. Picks up her first strike of the game. She's been having a very good first 2 games. Slowed down a little bit here in the third. But is able to hopefully get back in her groove with that strike there in the 7th. Meanwhile, we have games entering their foundation frame. Those being the Unity boys on lane 9 and the Taylorville girls on lane 10. Speaking of lane 10, we have Peyton for the Taylorville Lady Tornadoes trying to go for a turkey on her foundation frame. Currently on lane 10. Here's the attempt. Unable to get it. Leaves a split of 2 pins standing. So she'll have to hold off on any attempt for a turkey until the 10th frame. In the meantime, Kylie is stepping up to try to get a double. She's had nothing but strikes and spares so far, leaving no pin standing in this game. She will continue to do that with her 2nd consecutive strike, giving her a double so far. Checking in on the Unity player in lane 11, who has been leading the alley so far with a score of 504. He's had 4 strikes so far in a row, trying to go for his 5th. We'll keep you updated on whether or not he's able to hit that or not. And he is able to hit that. 5 strikes in a row. Once again, once you get past 3, we decided we're going to stop naming them. We couldn't figure out anything else that sounded clever. Quick points update for the boys Tornadoes bowling. Noah Baker sits in the lead at 422. Miles, though, has an opportunity to overtake him as he has not currently finished the same number of frames that Noah has. So we're going to have to wait for his 8th frame to see if Miles will retake the lead or if Noah will be able to take it back. Next closest terrible player is Brian, sitting at 407 after 8 frames in the 3rd game, on top of his previous 20 frames in the first 2 games. At the moment, we have Lene Neal trying to go for spare, and Jackson trying to get a turkey in his 10th frame. Jackson Frost is currently sitting at 442, which actually is leading the Tornadoes right now. And he is able to get that 2nd strike, so he should have a fairly firm lead as of right now over the Tornado Boys. But remember, he is 2 frames ahead of everyone else, so that is subject to change. Macy Johnson steps up, was able to get a strike on her previous frame, and able to get a strike on this frame as well. That's her 2nd strike of this game. Emma Hughes will step up, has only left 1 pin left standing so far. Over on lane 12, Miles was able to take back the lead on that lane and will likely be able to take it back from Jackson, who ended, I believe, with another strike, scoring 470. Can't say for certain, though. Emma Hughes knocks down 8, leaves the front 2. Will attempt for spare. Instead, just have to settle for the 1 on the left. Pulled it just a little bit. Ends up with 9. Kylie Calloway is back up. She has yet to let a pin left standing in this game. She comes into this frame with 2 previous strikes. She's going to try to go for turkey. And it must be Thanksgiving because she is able to get that. And she'll head into her foundation frame with 3 consecutive strikes. On the other end of the alley, we have Noah Baker fighting for the lead over the boys Tornadoes. Hits 8 pins on his first down the lane. He's got 4 strikes so far in this 3rd game. Following Liliana there on the far end. She currently has knocked down 6, leaves 4 standing. Girls on lane 10 are finishing up their last couple of bowls. Labeled as lane 10, but due to swapping each side, girls are currently sitting on lane 9. Lydia Hopkins knocked down 7 on her first. She's going to have to try to knock down these remaining 3 to gain her bonus in the 10th frame. Otherwise, and she does not. Knocks down 2, gets a little bit of an unlucky bounce. Ends that one with, I believe, 4 or 5 strikes. I'm unable to see right now. But she's going to end off with a total score of 456. The most of the girls in that lane. And the 4th overall girls player so far in the whole bowling alley. But that can be quickly taken away by the person who's up right now for the Lady Tornadoes, Lene Neal, who just got 9 points. She's currently sitting at 394 with 2 frames left. Very possible for her to overtake Lydia Hopkins and seal that 4th place spot. Quick points update throughout the whole alley. Our Unity friend over in lane 11 just had a split for 7 knocked down. He currently sits at 561. Next closest is the Unity player before him, sitting at 539, and then followed by the second Unity player, currently on lane 10, sitting at 518. For the Taylorville boys, their current leader is Jackson Frost with 470, though he has finished all 30 of his frames. As of right now, Noah Baker through 29 frames is at 431. Miles, who is through 38 frames, is at 430. And Brian, who has been through 29 frames, is currently sitting at 416. Looking over there at the girls' side, we have Kylie Calloway through 28 frames, is at 522. Next up is Macy Johnson, who through 28 frames is at 493 and is currently up to bowl, and just got a turkey of her own in her foundation frame. That bumps her up to the highest of the girls at 523, though through 29 frames. Emma Hughes is next up, sitting at third place, 485 through 28 frames. And for the Unity side, the first player on the Unity side, for the girls' side, is currently sitting at 363 through 29 frames. She currently sits as the firm leader for the Unity Lady Rockets. So, in lane 10, we had Jackson, Zeddy, Lydia, Peyton, and Alyssa have finished their 3 games of bowling. We'll give you a quick points update on them in the second, right after we see how Kylie Calloway does. She just had a turkey through 6, 7, and 8. Let's see if she can get one in her foundation frame. Not quite. Knocks down 7. Points totals for lane 10. Jackson Frost had 470. Zeddy Colbrook had 361. Lydia Hopkins at 456. Peyton at 356. And Alyssa at 402. Lanes 11 and 12, both holding boys players for the Rockets and Tornadoes, are currently finishing up their last frame of play, and I'll give you a points update on them as they come. And lanes 5 and 6, holding girls bowling for both the Tornadoes and the Rockets, are currently finishing up their 9th frame. At the moment, the Lady Tornadoes currently have a hold on their side, and the men's Unity Rockets, Unity Tolono Rockets, are currently sitting in the lead for the boys' end. And the first player to end their final frame for Unity, currently on lane 11, has a final score of 524, starting on that side. And Brian, currently on lane 12 for the Tornadoes, finishes off with a total of 436. Liliana picks up her 3rd spare of the game, bringing her to 323. The next Unity player on lane 11 just got a strike, bringing his total up to 559. He currently sits at 2nd place, I believe, for the boys. Lene up for the Lady Tornadoes. She gets a strike in her foundation frame. So now Macy will try to keep her strike streak alive. She got a strike in her 7th, 8th, and 9th frame. And she's going to try to pick up 3 more in her 10th frame. Noah Baker in lane 12 has finished up his night of bowling with a final score of 439. Currently sitting at tied 2nd place for the Tornadoes, but will probably end up in a solid 3rd place only getting overtaken by Miles of the Tornadoes, who has yet to bowl his 10th frame. Macy Johnson has picked up her 4th strike in a row, finally finding her groove here in Game 3. And she will earn her bonus for the 10th frame and try to pick up 2 more. In the meantime, the second Unity player on lane 11 just finished off with 2 strikes and a 7 for his 10th frame, bringing him to a total of 586. And Macy Johnson has earned her 5th strike. I'm going to try to end the night off with just as many strikes as she has had not. She has currently had 6 frames of having no strikes, and then 7, 8, 9, and 2 in frame 10 have had strikes, and she will finish that off. 6 consecutive strikes to end off the night for Macy Johnson. She is going to be, appears to be very proud of herself. A very, very, very strong way to end off the night, and a very, very strong way to seal the Tornadoes' lead over the Unity Lady Rockets. Brady over on lane 12 has finished off the night with a score of 427. And the Unity player that we have been talking about all night ends up without the bonus in the 10th frame, but still ends up winning over the boys with a final score of 605 in 30 frames. Dazzy Nash, a senior for the Tornadoes, ends off the night with 366 through 30 frames. Emma has ended off her night with a final score of 500, even 500 between 30 frames. And Kylie Calloway is currently up. She sits at 575, leaves 1 pin left standing, gets an unlucky bounce, a little frustrated, but that is A-okay. She's able to knock down this pin. She will have the ability to still earn her bonus, but with the inability to get a strike there, and the inability to get a spare there, that leaves Macy Johnson as the winner of the girls with a final score of 613, and Macy Johnson will actually end up as the top bowler of the whole alley. Macy Johnson, with her 6 strikes there at the end, overtakes the Unity player in lane 11, currently sitting at 605. That boys Unity player, who won the boys side, has been overtaken by Macy Johnson for the girls, who not only wins the girls, but wins over the whole alley, again with a final score of 613. In the meantime, Liliana leaves 2 pins standing, and will try to go for a spare to earn her bonus. And as these last few bowlers finish up their 10th frame, it will go down as Macy Johnson as the winner for the boys, Macy Johnson will go in as the winner for the Lady Tornadoes, and for the girls' side of the bowling with a total score of 613. And the Unity player, the anchor on lane 11, will go in as the winner for the boys' end with a total score of 605. The Lady Tornadoes will end up clinching the Lady Bowling side. Cannot give you a total score because it's not shown to me. But I can tell you they have a firm enough lead over the Unity girls. They have secured the lead, and I can also say the same thing about the Unity boys. The Unity Tolono Rockets boys team will end up beating out the Taylorville Tornadoes boys team. So both Unity and Taylorville are on their last players. We have Lene Neal up for the Tornadoes, trying to get a spare to earn her bonus. Liliana ended up with a final score of 350. Kylie with 584. Emma with 500, and Macy once again taking the lead over the whole alley. Final score of 613. Lene is unable to pick up the spare, leaves 2 pins standing, ends off the night with a final score of 429. And we just have one Unity player left. Looks like her fingers got stuck in the ball a little bit, maybe. Lobs it up there, and unable to pick up the spare, ends off with a final score of 265. So we will go ahead and follow up with some of these JV games. We have on lane 3 and lane 4 some of the JV or freshman games going on for both the Tornadoes and the Unity Tolono Rockets. So as we wrap up these JV slash freshman games, we're gonna let the Lady Tornadoes in their huddle marinate in their victory. I will step aside. I appreciate the support of you guys who are watching. Shout out to everyone else who put in the time here. We got 2 camera people down there at the alley, and we've got a handful of people here in the studio as well who have put in the work to make this bowling match possible. Congratulations to all the senior bowlers who are out there at the alley currently on their last season of bowling. Once again, we had Macy Johnson winning the girls' end, as well as the Taylorville Lady Tornadoes, and the anchor on lane 11 of Unity winning out the boys' side in the Unity Tolono Rockets. Boys team able to clinch the boys' side of things. So on behalf of Tommy TV, I'm Ben Wamsley. We're going to finish up these last couple of games. We appreciate you for tuning in.